like to welcome everyone to
This
the Committee
meeting
of the
is
Whole
being recorded.
meeting on June 14th, Monday at 5:45 p.m. We have two items on tonight's agenda. The first is a COVID vaccination verification program, and the second item is a Recreation Division programming and events update. And I think to kick off the vaccination verification program, Kelsey Turns is going to get us started.
Thank you. Let me pull up my screen. Okay, so again, I'm Kelsey Turnus. I'm the risk manager for the city, and it's a pleasure to be able to take you guys through the program that the city has put together for verification of our employees' vaccination status. An optional program that we believe is a very good program that we've put together and has received very positive feedback from our employees. It is a short presentation, and I will jump right in. So the program that we put together is based on L&I guidance and published regulation for a verification program. So L&I, which is Labor and Industries, that's the Washington State government organization that regulates that employers provide a safe and healthy work environment for their employees. L&I gave us essentially two options, or employers two options, when it comes to the verification of vaccinations. The first is that we can maintain the same and require every employee to continue to social distance and wear masks. Or employers have the option of allowing fully vaccinated employees to stop masking and social distancing at work. In order to do that, the employers have to hit some very specific points. And as you know, the city of Renton did choose to verify vaccination status and allow our employees to stop masking and social distancing. And here are the requirements from L&I that we must meet as we go through that process. The first is to have a demonstratable process to verify the vaccination status, be able to provide evidence of that process should L&I ask for it, and lastly, to ensure that those employees that are not fully vaccinated or whose vaccination status is unknown, they continue to mask and social distance. For the verification, this first step here, the demonstratable process, the city, there are several options that the city had, and we chose to create a log of our employees whose vaccination status has been verified, as well as put a sticker on the back of our employees' key card badges. And I want to pause here and talk a little bit about HIPAA law, because this is a really good question and one that we continue to receive. And before I go into the nuts and bolts of the actual process for verification, I just want to touch on this important piece. So as you may know, HIPAA is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And essentially, it's a federal law that intends to protect sensitive medical information from disclosure without consent. So an example where a HIPAA law, the HIPAA law would apply would be if the city were to go into our employees' health plan, HMA, and extract or look at that information about vaccinations and then do something with that information. And that's not what we're doing here. This is an optional program where employees can choose to show their vaccination status in order to unmask and stop social distancing. For additional peace of mind, the city has chosen to not keep the CDC, the proof of vaccination, so the CDC vaccination card or a copy of that. We're not keeping any of that information. So how does the process work for an employee? In order to participate, firstly, an employee would need to be fully vaccinated. The definition of that would be 2 weeks after the second dose in a 2-dose series, such as Moderna or Pfizer, or 2 weeks after the single dose, such as Johnson & Johnson. And we did provide information to our employees as to where they can find a vaccination if they are interested in doing so. The second step is to attend a verification session. And our staff members for HRRM, Human Resources and Risk Management, have 2 processes in place. The first one is for on-site verification. Last week, Wednesday through Friday, for 3 days, we had several staff members go out to many different on-site locations, pretty much the purpose of which was to help verify as many people as possible and kind of go to them, make that the process as easy as we possibly could. And again, had a really positive response. Last week in those 3 days, we were able to verify 187 employees. So a really terrific participation rate from those who wanted to participate. And then this week, we're dedicating to virtually verifying. So we have appointments set up Wednesday and Thursday of this week in order to verify over Zoom. In that case, the stickers will be sent to the employees' homes and they'll place them on the back of their key cards. Employees fill out a COVID vaccination verification form. It does look like a long form, but the first half of this is really information for the employee. The types of proof of vaccination that we are accepting is in line with the state and what they accept. So the CDC vaccination card and then a photo on the phone of a CDC vaccination card are the most common that we've been seeing. And then again, a sticker goes on the back of the Renton key card badge. And the last step of the process for the employee would be to show their supervisor. And at that point, they can stop masking and social distancing. HRRM, we do provide a list to the administrators in the chain of command of those employees who have opted into this program. But the list only contains employee's name and the date verified. So that is the entirety of the program. We also have, in addition to the 187 employees that we verified last week, we do have 35 signed up for this week to do virtually as well. So again, quite a big participation rate. And we've had, I will open this up to your questions as well, but I thought I might go through a couple of the common questions that we get and then the answers that we have for our employees when they ask them. We have had several employees that are interested in continuing to wear a mask, and absolutely we encourage that. That is absolutely up to the comfort level of the employee. We do ask that all employees wait until the verification process is complete before they remove their mask and stop social distancing. So that sticker on the back of the key card and that they've informed their supervisor. We've had a great question about if this program's open to supplemental employees as well, and the answer to that is yes. Facilities has done just an incredible job. They have printed out so many key card badges for our supplemental employees in order to enable the process for verification and have that for display if they choose to. And then additional to this, we've had the question about volunteers and if they'll be eligible to participate in this program. And we have also extended it to our volunteers that are regular volunteers. And we hope now that we've done the majority of our on-site employees, we're going to transition into this virtual and supplemental volunteers as well. We do ask that employees continue to do the daily screening. That is both a requirement from LNI still, and really it has proven to be effective in stopping employees with symptoms from coming into the workplace and spreading illness. And the last really good question that we've gotten is, if an employee has previously had COVID, are they able to remove their mask? And the answer to that is no. L&I's program only extends to employees that have been verified as vaccinated. And the reason behind that is really the antibodies that could be built from a COVID positive case can vary. So it's difficult to know how many antibodies that person has and how long that immunity will last, if at all. So I told you it would be a fast presentation. With that, what questions may I answer for you?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kelsey. A really good presentation. I'll start out by saying that I would assume that council, it's the same for the council as for the other employees, right?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Yes, we would love for you to participate in this program. I did have a question from one of you today, and I'd love to help you through that process. If you'd like to do it virtually, wonderful. Councilmember O'Halloran is showing off her badge. That's wonderful.
Good. Okay, and then I'll just say to you and the council that I think we should follow this with committee of the whole meeting, and not too long, where we actually talk about when we can get back together in person as a council. But I don't know if we're ready to talk that today. But with that, I'd like to just open it up to questions from the council. I don't see any hands raised. So perhaps that's covered it. So thank you very much, and it's exciting that we're actually at this point. It's been a long road to get here. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Well, let's see. With that, we'll move on to the next topic, the Recreation Division Programming and Events Update, and Kelly Beamer is going to kick this part off.
Actually, I'm going to turn it over to our experts in recreation. I want to introduce again Mary Jane Van Cleve, our Recreation Neighborhoods Director, along with Carrie Nass, the Recreation Neighborhoods Manager. Those two are joined at the hip and have been through COVID, only socially distant at 6 feet apart. They have been working through all of the different factors and all of the conditions and requirements have gone through our different phases, and now we're excited about presenting what we are able to do moving forward. So,
all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Council President and Council members. I'm going to share my screen at this moment, and we will get going into this presentation. Here we go. So we're going to play from the beginning. There we go. All right. Thank you for your time. Again, Mary Jane Van Cleve, Recreation Neighborhood Director, and my partner, Carrie Nass, will take over in midway of this presentation. We did send out to council 3 memos, 2 of which one was covering aquatics and one covered our summer events. So we'll be basically covering a portion of what was already discussed in the memo, as well as discuss additional details that have come out since then. So topically, we're going to cover aquatics, recreation buildings, and our program and events for this summer. Kelsey, I think, kind of touched on L&I. That definitely guides us as an agency, but as a team, we're also seek guidance and restriction guidance from other entities, which is the Department of Health, King County Public Health, and WRPA. So we've been participating in WRPA conversations that initially started weekly when COVID first hit in 2020. And over time, John Snyder from the governor's office also started to participate, and he would provide guidance. And this was across the state, so it was really important to hear universally what was happening in our industry. So we've been active participants in that. The pool is definitely permitted by the Department of Health, and it follows kind of its most strict guidelines. Those guidelines are still in place. We anticipate those to change after June 30th, but up until then, they are very stringent, I would say, in terms of phase 3. And then King County, that overrides the state, has its own mitigation and rules. So we do anticipate them to continue some of these COVID restrictions into the summer, such as masking, but we're still waiting for some up-to-date information, one of which is camps. since we serve a huge population of 5 through 12 year old children and youth, most of those are not vaccinated. We're still erring on the side of caution and safety. A lot of parents have really expressed a desire to make sure we emulate what their students and children are facing in schools. So we still will, for our campers, staff will still be masked up regardless of what happens until we hear otherwise from King County and also from our own HR and L&I guidance. So again, we want to make sure parents feel very safe. We've received, between when we closed in March of 2020 and now, 4,886 emails in just our recreation email account. So we have mitigated all those emails and all those questions as they've changed and evolved. And so many of them right now are what's opening and when and how are you opening. And so we've been trying to manage that as much as possible, but pay attention to what parents and families are expressing. One of our other challenges, and I think a lot of industries are facing this isn't just us, but hiring. Hiring has been very challenging, and so we've been really resourceful and creative. The way we're able to open the pool is by sharing with a multitude of agencies our staff. And that is probably the most creative way to do this, but it is challenging. For example, the city of Kirkland just upped their pay rate, so several Bellevue staff members that are lifeguards went over to Kirkland, and that affected us because we are sharing with those staff. So it's an interesting time. Employees definitely have a choice, and they know it, and so they're going where they want to and what best suits them. And so it definitely puts us in a different position. In 2020, when we separated from all our staff, we had 111. So to start from scratch, where normally we would be up to about 250 right now, has been hard to rebuild because a lot of those employees who would come year after year have found other employment or circumstances in life has changed and they're just in different places at this point. And so I just wanted to paint the complexity. The other issue is a lot of things that we did to make our plans occurred about 6 months ago when we were toggling between phases. And so much of what we had to make decisions on were really based on what we knew at that time, not knowing where we would be right now. And as you all know, a lot just changes even within a week's time. So we will continue to evolve and adapt and do as much as we can with the capabilities that we have, with the intent to expand as soon as we can. We are desperate and interested to serve the public as best we can as these all evolve. So that being said, getting into the schedule for the Aquatic Center. It is drastically different than what we had done in 2019, but we are beyond happy and grateful that it is at least open, which is not the case last year at all. So to start off with the beaches at Kennydale and Coulon in 2020, we did not man them at all. So we are very grateful to get back to manning those beaches and providing a safe space for people to enjoy and recreate in the water. We saw a lot of people find creative ways to find reprieve from the summer, so we're happy to provide back, again, a safe space to do that. HMAC, again, the reduction in the schedule, it is through Thursday through Sunday. I tried to go for mass community benefit. When we did our pyramid and priorities of our services, again, the public always emphasizes broad community benefit, and then the least is typically individual benefit. Swim lessons is one thing that is missing from this, and that is very individual benefit. That was very challenging for us to offer. It did serve less people, so the option and the priority was to serve as many people as possible, and so that's why the format is predominantly open swim sessions. 10:30 to 7:30, and again, that is due to just the staffing level that we have at the very moment. We had to commit to what we had at a specific time. The other issue is we have younger staff, so staff can work all the way as young as 15, 16, and there's certain different labor laws. We can't work them the same way, so it's not like we have a full staff of 18 and over. We have several that are under 18, and so we have to make some adjustments for that. And there'll be certainly more time. We are still offering at the beginning, if you can see when we do open, is time for still some lap swims, still time for water walking, and still from splash and play. Again, per the Department of Health, what they did is they also reduced the capacity of the number of people who could be in the water at one time. And so that's where those restrictions were. Obviously, we will evolve based on the number of guards that we have. and try to continue to serve as many people as we can. And if we have a flooding of lifeguards who want to work for us, we will be more than happy to continue to expand our dates and times. It's just right now, this is basically what we can guarantee and execute with the staffing level we have at the moment. So where we will be driving our customers and our patrons is the city's page of rentonwa.gov/HMAC. This is important. So this was a valuable tool for communication. In 2019, outside of the city's home landing page, this was the most visited page in our whole city website. And that was even with the pool only being open June, July, and August. So we know our patrons use this site, and so we will continue to evolve it, tweak it, do whatever we need to do to continue to provide the most relevant and up-to-date information. We are going to work actively with communications to make sure that this information, or where to go, is going to be pushed out through Nextdoor and as well as typically social media. But we really want to make sure residents in particular are getting the most accurate information and know how to register for their swim time as they wish. So we will be doing an active push after tonight to make sure residents have access to that. In terms of our buildings, we're excited to start, getting them ready for opening up, but it's certainly a heavy lift when you're turning it on, you're hiring, you're getting operations going. So the Renton Community Center, what's occurring this summer is our Stream Summer Camp, which is totally full, as well as a couple of other summer camps are actively utilizing the community center. It will not be open for drop-in public use. That will begin in September after Labor Day timeframe. But right now it's reserved for just our youth and our summer camps. Parents were very concerned about shared space. If any of you have little ones, no one was going into schools this summer, or this school year. It was very limited and very restricted. And so we're trying to continue that safe space as parents have requested. The Renton Community or Senior Activity Center, we're still providing lunches actively Monday through Friday. And it's quite amazing how many seniors are still coming. And we did have a heartfelt story where one gentleman, this was his one daily meal, was the senior lunch. And we've since connected him with some additional social services. So just that program is still vital. Our goal is to open up also the senior center early fall, and we are in the process of trying to figure out programming and look for guidance and make sure we open that in the safest way. We'll be coordinating with Sound Generations that provides that meal program to how we're going to convert it back to a congregate meal setting. So more to come on that one for certain. Highlands Neighborhood Center and North Highlands. So Highlands Neighborhood Center right now is currently occupied by the Center of Hope. They were in dire straits and again needed once more a temporary housing location. They will be out of there at the end of August because of our STREAM grant and our King County grant. We're obligated to offer a certain amount of after-school hours of support through STREAM, so we need to start doing that come September. So they hopefully will be moving into their permanent location around that time frame as well. But regardless, we're opening up the building in that September time frame as well to mirror schools resuming in person. North Highlands, you received the memo about the current conversation with the location and company, Bezos. It's a nonprofit. It's Day One Fund Academy. It's about bringing a really exciting program. It's a year-round free Montessori-style preschool program. We're still going through the process and just making sure it's viable for all parties. So more to come on that. I know the lease should be kind of making its way through the system as well. You just provided you a quick update on HMAC that's opening. And then in terms of those bottom three locations, the Tiffany, Thomas, Teasdale, and Lyons, those will be open as we are opening up all our summer camps. We have a lot of sports camps using our parks, and so those will be open in conjunction with those park uses as well. So these were just some of the summer camps. Again, when we talked to parents, what they really wanted, they want very substantive programming. They're looking for sports skills. They're looking for STREAM. They're looking for outdoor programming. We're extremely proud that most all of these have been full right away. We wish we could provide more, but parents are really desperate right now to find things for their kids to do, even if it's not full day. But without a doubt, full day is still something that's sorely missed. And so we're really grateful we're still able to provide it through STREAM. So Carrie Nass is going to take over from here and start kind of sharing more specifically about programs and events.
All right, thank you, Mary Jane. We'll do tag team here, so I'll finish up with the last few slides, and hopefully we'll end early because I know you guys have your council meeting. So you guys, I'm sure, are very familiar with our Let's Go Rent, and it used to be called What's Happening Recreation Guide. And so due to COVID, we stopped last spring, actually, or last summer, our full seasonal guide. And we were slowly transitioning to a more virtual online flip guide rather than the 50,000 copies we would mail out. So I think we'll continue with this. We have a little 2-page up to 4-page monthly guide that's emailed out to our 18,000 patrons in Perfect Mind, our recreation software. And then we work closely with Dave and Sheila in communications to make sure it gets out through the mayor's newsletter and emails and social media and so forth. So kind of expect to see this. I think we will be for the July and August one, combining it with the two, doing a few more in the fall, and then in January at the latest of 2022, that's when we'll go back to more of our traditional, longer, more in-depth version. But MJ, I guess you have control of the slides. Thank you. And so we're really excited. You guys have heard us come and talk to you every July and do a proclamation for Parks and Rec Month. So we'll be doing that again this year with Kelly and Colleen and others in community services. But this year we plan to activate Parks and Rec Month with some really fun activities, kind of mini events, more neighborhood centric. So you'll see on this slide, there's a listing of a few that we're going to do, and I can kind of walk you through some. But we're doing, these will all be free, but yoga in the park and art in the park, bike rodeo. We initially, I think, talked to all of you about doing this around the 4th of July. This will be actually now be spread out through the month of July. We're working as we speak with police and fire to make it a really fun event throughout the month, but there will be one registered event at RCC in the parking lot July 3rd. So be on the lookout for that if you have little ones that would want to register for that. Movies in the park, you know, traditionally that's a huge thing that we do along with the concerts as well. And when we were planning this 3 to 6 months ago, we had so many restrictions on us. We came up with a thing called neighborhood or night out in the neighborhoods. So more details will be coming out over the next week or two on that. But those will be more neighborhood centric movies. We'll be doing 2, one in July, one in August. Our Push Plunge, that is well loved. That's at the end of the HMAC season. That weekend after Labor Days, we'll be doing that. And as you probably saw in our that previous Let's Go guide, we're slowly bringing back adult outdoor sports and youth. So the big ones are kickball, baseball, t-ball, and then the fall we'll be bringing back even more, probably indoor sports as well. Not probably, we will be bringing back indoor sports as well when we open RCC. And then our biggest youth sport that we offer is basketball. We have anywhere from 800 to sometimes 1,000 enrolled in that. And so we'll be bringing that back. And I know we're getting out of those, what was it, MJ, almost 6,000 emails that we got through. A lot of them are about youth basketball, HMAC. And then finally, so with our permitted events, our division oversees all of the permitted events that are non-city run. So we, back in April, started accepting applications again. And so we are getting quite a few in, as you can imagine, but we're excited about it to bring back more to the community. Few, I guess, that we've already permitted. One coming up this Saturday, Juneteenth. A local woman from the city of Renton is doing an event, along with Benita and others who are hosting a city Juneteenth event. Park Run, you guys may have heard of that. That's back. Seahawks training camp, we're reviewing that, so we're busy with that. And so anyways, time to move on, MJ. Senior folks, you know this is a love of mine. I love working with the senior population. So I believe I had mentioned it, but maybe not on one of these council meetings. So we do have a King County VSHSL grant, and we are currently through those grant funds recruiting for an engagement specialist to help us with outreach to seniors. So I can go ahead and forward that to all of you through Judith so that we can help disseminate that. We've had a long-term partnership with Renton Technical College, but starting this winter, and we're planning now, we'll have some joint classes and series just for seniors. So be on the lookout for that. And we're continuing with our age-friendly initiative. So probably in the fall, Mary Jane, I would say that we'd be ready to come back and present to you kind of where we're at in our action plan.
I'll add to that, Carrie. So the action plan does require a series of community conversations, and what we've done thus far to date, just to remind council, is an internal review with all the other departments to create a baseline of where we collectively serve seniors and how. The goal now is to start beginning those conversations with our community partners, which is how we ended up kind of talking to RTC about merging resources and leveraging what we do. So we're very excited about the RTC partnership because we're going to be able to expand on some educational components that we may have not been as strong in, and vice versa. We will be able to provide some space and some recreational and exercise, wellness, and health. So it's going to be a really great partnership that we're going to start building and co-branding on. And again, once we start having these community conversations with our seniors, without a doubt, we'll be extending this to council. It'd be great to hear that conversation around livability and what matters, and also to help educate what we already are doing to kind of create closing that gap, and just, again, really making Renton in the long term a livable city for all, but honoring and respecting a lot of our elders and making sure they have a space that they know they can age safely in.
So it's the next slide. And then I believe you guys have gotten the initial invitation, at least calendar invitation for 2 ribbon cuttings that we're really excited about. And these will kind of bookend our Parks and Rec month in July. So the first one will be at the beginning of July, and then the next one I'll talk about at the end of July. So this first one will be on July 7th at 1 p.m. And for both of these, we'll be creating a memo and more of a formal invitation to send out to all of you probably by next week, I would expect at the latest. But this has been a fairly new partnership with the Rave Foundation. It's the nonprofit arm of the Seattle Sounders. We started working with them probably 3 years ago, I would say, on just some kind of low-key summer camps that were free for low-resource youth, and they were really successful. And then we had a lot of our staff trained on their science soccer curriculum. So it's something that we implemented in our stream team after-school program. And then back in, I think it was probably fall of 2019, their executive director came to me and wanted to build a mini pitch, and I can kind of explain what that is in a second, somewhere in Renton. And so COVID hit, and so that project was kind of postponed a bit. But now we're finally at a point where we have the funders, and it's basically all done. So we're so excited to open this up, do the ribbon cutting, and to really activate this park. But basically what a mini pitch is, it's to play futsal. And futsal is a form of soccer. It's in a contained area with a fence and hard, concrete surface. The ball's a little bit harder or heavier, I guess, than a traditional soccer ball. But and I can send a link out afterwards, and it'll be in the memo. But the Rave Foundation, they've built, I think, about 10 of these around the Puget Sound area. So really excited to, be able to activate and then bring that new park amenity to our community. I should note that the primary funder that's coming in is Primera Blue Cross, so their logo, as you can see on the diagram, will be on there, along with King County Parks. Back in fall of 2019, Councilmember Reagan Dunn, he helped secure a little mini grant for us to purchase the goals.
And Carrie, the park that it's located in is at Highlands Neighborhood Center, correct?
Correct, thank you. I missed that, yeah. And I guess back to that one, and we can stay on this slide, that's fine, Mary Jane. It'll be a strong partnership with Highlands Elementary, because the futsal, the mini pitch will be right next to, in Highlands Park, but right next to Highlands Elementary. So all of the PE teachers at Highlands Elementary will be trained in the science for soccer. So they'll be able to utilize it on an ongoing basis. All right, so I think this is our last slide. So we'll be ending our Parks and Rec month with another really fun ribbon cutting to highlight a new park amenity at North Highlands Park. So I think we've mentioned it to you on other presentations, but with our age-friendly initiative, it's a World Health Organization initiative, but here in the US, AARP leads it. And so right at the time that we started talking to AARP about applying to be an age-friendly city, they also selected us as the only state the only city in Washington to receive this fit lot. And so every state now in the United States has a fit lot in celebration of ARC's 50th anniversary. And so we were lucky to, have good timing, I suppose, by getting the age-friendly designation at the same time that they selected us. So anyways, basically what it is, it's an outdoor piece of exercise equipment that's covered. So it can be used year-round, meant for adults 18 and over, and for free public use. And so as part of the partnership, we have a 3-year grant to offer free classes. So we'll be starting up probably in August, once or twice a week, free classes for adults to engage and use the fit lot. So we look forward to having you guys come out to both. And don't worry, we won't make you guys get on the equipment and start it. You can just be there, be observers. But we're just hoping to get a lot of community usage out of these new park amenities. And MJ, did we have one more slide? Nope, that's it. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them, to the best of our ability. But thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Mary Jane and Carrie. Wonderful presentation. It's sure exciting to see things opening back up and all the new recreation that's going to be available to us this summer. So thank you for that. With that, I'd like to ask the council if there's questions. Councilmember Perez.
Thank you. I kind of have a question and then a comment. Or I'm going to do it backwards, probably. First, a comment. I want to thank both of you for your presentation. For me, it's, very hard to believe that last year we were having this same meeting, but talking about how we were going to close all the facilities and how we were going to do it to go virtual. It has been said more than once that this has been a very challenging year, but you guys have stepped to the plate in a way that you never, for at least I was never prepared to do anything like that. Nobody told me when I was going to school and say, hey, what will happen if extreme situations happen? How will you respond? So you guys have exceed all my expectations. First, the way you were able to transition all of these services to be able to protect not just the staff, but more important, our community. And now we're transitioning backwards to come back in a safety way. So all my kudos for all the extra hours of work and creativity and different level of expertise that I believe that all of us survivors of this work environment of COVID, we will be prepared for everything in the future. And nothing is going to be challenging anymore. So once again, thank you for everything. But my question is, because we just had the presentation about the staff coming back to work without masks, and you told us that in some of the facilities, the staff is going to require to wear masks. How does that work if they have to be stamped on their IDs, even if they already presented that they have been vaccinated and they have been passed the regulation of not wearing masks? Even if that's the rule, if they work in the pool, are they going to have to wear masks? If they work at the recreational center, are they going to have to wear masks just because they are in contact with the public? Or what are the rules in these cases? Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to answer that, Mary Jane, or I can?
Go ahead, Carrie.
Okay. Well, yes, so we toyed with that, truthfully, back and forth quite a bit, especially as HR started kind of in the county and Department of Health came out with their new guidelines. But, we come from the lens of safety first. So that's where we're going with this. So I think MJ mentioned it. Most of the patrons and customers that we serve, all of them that we serve for our summer camps that'll be held at RCC are 12 and under, so they're unvaccinated. And then same with HMAC. It's primarily the younger set, the 12 and under, and then their parents who come and utilize that facility. So we made the decision to have all of our full-time and supplemental staff and our volunteers wear masks. Because we'll be asking the patrons to wear masks as well. So camp, it'll be, for the whole camp, just like a school would be. For HMAC, it'll be when they enter, until they find their little spot, put their little backpack down. But once they're in the water, of course, they don't need to wear a mask. But the staff, lifeguards will also be wearing masks. If the patrons need to go to the restroom, we'll ask that they put it back on and then come out. So that's where we landed. And so we'll be working with communications because we don't want it to be confusing to the public. we have it on that HMAC webpage that Mary Jane showed you. So it's pretty clear, and we'll be sending some emails out through Perfect Mind, but we'll be working with communications and Kelsey and her team to make sure that the public knows kind of what to expect when they enter different venues through the city, whether it's the lobby at City Hall, you know, whether it's a camper or whether it's HMAC. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, so you're absolutely right that it is currently city policy / procedure that if we're interacting with the public, whether we have been vaccinated or not, we will be wearing masks because we are requiring the public at this time until any of the masking requirements change. They will also be needing to wear a mask to enter into any of our facilities. So it just keeps it clean. Like Carrie said, we don't want to provide misinformation or confusion.
And I would to add to that, and thank you, Councilmember, for your compliment. It really is a team effort. It's certainly not Carrie and I. We have very dedicated staff. We're about 70% full for our FTEs in addition to our supplementals, and we really want to focus on what we can do. And so that's what we've been trying to demonstrate. So thank you, and I appreciate the team's effort, and we're really proud of them. To also add to that answer, we have a lot of teenage staff, and not all of them are vaccinated either. And so it's really about just trying to protect everyone, err on caution. But, you know, we respect the public. The public also does a really good job of managing themselves. Patrons are very smart. Residents are very smart. And we just wanted to provide them just what to expect, you know, when they come in advance. So we're hoping with good communication on the webpage, we verified that that was a reliable location where people were receiving and getting their information. And so that's why we're going to try to dedicate that to the main spot. But, you know, it is going to take the city a lot of effort on communicating where the variance of expectation of what to, you know, expect when you interface with the city staff. We are going to have to really do a good job and a better job of getting that out there, because there will be some variability depending on the location, especially throughout the summer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the compliment. That was wonderful, Ruth. We'll take a bit again. It's our staff. We work with a phenomenal team. And I do want to highlight, we'll be doing our Renton 101, so we'll be going into more in-depth information and specifics on all of our summer activities. So definitely jump in and listen to that as your time permits. It's I think it's a week from Tuesday, so not tomorrow, but next Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Councilmember Benedetti.
Councilmember Perez, you certainly, your words are absolutely true, and I want to echo them here, which is that I think as hard as it was to close everything and live with that last summer, it's all the harder to manage all of these different ambiguities and try and open back up again. So thank you so much for thinking through the different scenarios and being so resourceful to try and do the very best you can with what it is that we have available to us, understanding that the lifeguard shortage is not something that we can navigate alone, and looking for creative ways to manage that. So thank you for that. I did want to just, so you spoke to a couple of the things that I was going to ask about, and I just want to make sure that I understand. If there is a change in the mask language for the state or the county, then, or more specifically the county, I'm not sure which one, if you'll go with the more conservative interpretation, how it is the city will navigate that. But if and when there's a change, will there be then a change in the recommendations for how it is that we are working with our communities this summer, or the community this summer? And then also for the people who want to participate in the programs. And then you said that the website was a form of communication. Do you have other forms of communication in terms of rolling out information if things change quickly? Because as we know, sometimes we are left behind the curve, as it were, when things change.
No, that's an excellent question, and thank you again, Councilmember Benedetti. We definitely want to. Carrie and I are proud, and we're not the only ones, and so we are a team. But we appreciate your support tremendously. It is extremely heavy lift of resuming and reopening operations with basically the ground moving beneath you and changing every day. So and trying to be considerate. That's an excellent question. You know, a lot of the parents who registered for these programs have been very clear in our almost 5,000 emails and conversations that we've had with them. So we've never not had contact with public the entire time, including phone calls, and that's just one generic email account. I think we will certainly seek guidance for HR to confirm that if King County does drop that mask mandate, that the city will also support that direction. And, you know, I will leave that up to executive. I think the ELT needs to guide us on that as well. The other thing is we would want to be informative to the parents and the participants because they registered under those pretenses that the masking would be there. We have a lot of parents who are very concerned about the health of their child, the health of others with compromised immune systems, and also just not being immunized. It's very concerning. So I think when that does happen, we will cautiously address it and we'll be fully transparent with those parents if we do so and decide to go in that direction. Because I know as a parent, I would want to know if something I signed up for is about to change. So I don't think we would just take that merely upon ourselves. We're going to work with HR, risk, as well as our executive leadership to make sure it's done thoughtfully and strategically, and it's not just kind of quickly taking it away. But, you know, certainly where we can and it doesn't have that sort of impact, we will. We want to allow people to, you know, be mask-free wherever they can if they feel safe in doing so.
And to your second question, as far as getting the information out, if we do change it, yeah, I think Carrie had mentioned too that we will definitely flood our social media with as much information as we can so that we can get it out widespread through the community.
Hi, Councilmember Van.
Thank you, Council President. And thank you so much, Kelly and everyone for your work, your presentation, and thank you for the memos. I know it's constantly changing. So just echoing my colleagues. But I do have a question in regarding to the programs, the summer programs that you've mentioned that is pretty much packed. For those that are packed, there is a wait list, right, as far as folks that who are able to, if they're able to be on wait lists, and how do we treat that, the wait list?
Certainly. So we do. Thank you, Councilmember Vaughn. We do have a wait list. What we did prioritize with Stream was parents with limited resources. We try to put our resources where they are truly needed. So that's why Stream is what it is. It's fully grant funded, so there's no cost. We also work with communities and schools in Renton, as well as RIZ, our partners, Renton Innovation Zone, to make sure those parents and those children got that really viable resource. For our other ones, we do have some wait lists, but we are more than happy to promote our partners and other resources within Renton and the region. We're not the only provider, and we want parents to know where they can go to plug their children in. And we will be heavily also listing where parents can go for, say, swim lessons, where they can potentially go for programming that they have may come to us for. So we will try to do our best, but reality is there's just not a lot of options, and if there is, there's just reduced capacity across the board. We've heard loud and clear in our statewide agencies that some are just not offering a lot of things, and then everything everyone is offering is really reduced for a variety of reasons. So we hear the struggle. I mean, Carrie and I are working moms as well, so we empathize with parents because it really does. You're concerned about your children just having experiences, but sometimes you also just need the childcare. So we fully understand, and so we are going to do as much as we can this summer, but we're really looking to fall to figure out what we can do to really support families as they return to school.
Mm-hmm. And just kind of to add to that, it's definitely a statewide issue. And so just last week, you may or may not have heard, but through OSPI, the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, and also in partnering with WRPA, Washington Parks and Rec Association, they released a request for proposals just for that, for summer camp for this summer. And it's a quick turnaround. Applications are due in about 2 weeks, I think July 1st. And for some funding for this July and August, and then also for next summer. So our team and I'm actively putting a proposal together for sure for next summer to supplement what we'll be doing. And we'll be talking later this week to see this summer, you know, what we can do. But kind of like with the lifeguard issue, it's we're supplemental staff. So we're barely able to get enough of our Stream team camp counselors on. So if we can get another 5 to 10, we might be able to offer one more little camp activity this July and August, but it's staff dependent for sure. But either way, though, it's very exciting that there's funds out there to support it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Councilmember McGurven.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So again, want to echo all the sentiments that have been expressed on the nimbleness of staff to get this launched and to do it. I mean, definitely appreciate all the work that's gone into making us have this program available. So super excited, especially for Henry Moses being available. I know that's going to be absolutely, I feel like that's the question I've probably gotten the most from people as far as what's going to be open. Looking at the online registration, which I saw, I can sign up today. So for anyone who's watching that might want to go sign up, go grab some spots. It looks like they're filling up at least on the earlier times. The question I had is if somebody, is that the only way they can register? Is there ability to call in if someone were to? Lindbergh Pool opened up recently. I went for a lap swim in the morning, and I was disheartened to find that they didn't have the online registration portal, and I had to call in, which I hate, but some people might prefer that, and I'm wondering if that might be an option for someone if they didn't have the ability to do it on a computer. And then my second question was for the splash and play. I didn't see that one on there as an option. Is that something that's going to be added soon, or how does one register for that? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember, and again, thank you all for your excitement for the pool and our programming. And if we're too short, we'll be sending you lifeguard uniforms. No, just joking. But we never know.
Well, good to know, Ryan.
But yes, we just did a soft open today to open up our reservation. We're certainly not allowing everyone to block out the whole summer, so we're trying to slowly roll that open so that everybody has an opportunity. Half Pint Splash and Play should be in there, so if we need to do a better job of making it findable, we certainly will. And yes, people can still call the recreation number, the 6600, and that goes to, it does go to an email, but we will walk anybody through reserving their time for their desired spot for swimming. So that's not an issue. And we will also be listing what the other pools in the community are offering. Most all of them are doing more lap swim and swim lessons, which is why we focused more on open swim. We're hoping to get more of just that broad use. So Splash and Play should be on there, and it's from like an infant to toddler age. If it's not, and we're just kind of verifying, our staff's pretty savvy. They're texting me right now. It's under Aquatic Center programs. Thank you, Jennifer Spencer. And it's for 5 years and under. So we are eager to make sure that works. And yes, please, if anyone you speak to is having any issues, please refer them to us. We want to make sure our residents have the assistance to get in and get access as easily as possible. But yeah, we're thrilled, we're pleased, and we're ready to serve and see everybody again.
Great. Great comments and questions. Any final questions by council? Oh, Councilmember Perez.
I'm gonna give a little bit more praises just because I can. So Community and Services has always been the department that the city appreciates so much because how much they bring to the entertainment of children, among other things. Mm-hmm. So summer is a very popular time for your area, and I know how busy you guys get. But I have to tell you that even during the pandemic, the events that you guys have very limited. And Mary Jane, thank you for clarifying. Your team shine in every form and way. I had the opportunity to be with them, and it's the whole department, the effort, the energy, and the desire to serve the community that impressed me the most. But especially because they have to be very active and very energetic to work with children, which is what it is. So I'm very looking forward for this summer. I mean, I know that parents are more looking forward than me, but very exciting to see that you guys are taking every single precaution to make sure that everybody feels safe and hoping for a great summer that is going to be very successful. And again, I appreciate the work that everybody has put on this.
Thank you, Council Member. We appreciate that. I'm going to end on one other thing. On July 22nd, we're working out the details, and we may be partnering with the chamber, because they're really interested in this, we're going to have a community conversation about what our fall programming will look like. We really want to have community input. We still know we're going to have some challenges and restrictions, but we don't want to just resurrect everything we did in 2019 as if 2020 didn't drastically change lifestyles, comforts, and interests. So we're going to have a conversation and invite our neighborhood program, so it'll be more neighborhood-centric about what are you comfortable coming back to? What are your priorities now that we're kind of in this new era? So without a doubt, we will continue to build with community input and extend council to be a part of those conversations, just to support and hear and guide, and, you know, just so we're moving in step with the community and that we're not moving ahead of them. So we look forward to that conversation. I think it'll be really interesting, and the public is extremely resilient, very bright, very intelligent. They just want to know what's coming, and from us, we just want to know what is most important when we're applying limited resources to programs. So.
Well, that sounds like a great plan, Mary Jane, and we'll look forward to that. And I want to say, Councilmember Perez, I'm sure you were speaking for all of us with your comments. I know we all feel the same way, and just a terrific job through really hard times by the whole department. So thank you so much for that. Well done.
Yeah.
And I thought the Henry Moses pool looked pretty lonely and sad last summer. So I'm so excited to see it opened up. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the committee of the whole meeting, and we'll reconvene as a council in 19 minutes. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.